Iminatrantaisiatina Legislature in Guam is back in session. Afade colleagues, we are back on second reading. We left off on Bill number 132-37 COR. I will ask again if there's anyone else who'd like to be recognized on Bill 132-37 COR. If there's no one, then the sponsor may close on the bill. Well, I'm so sorry. Senator Perez, you're recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yeah, I have a question for the author. So the question is that is there identical legislation, or is there an identical crime that fits what this bill is addressing?
Will the sponsor yield to that question?
Sure, but could you, I'm sorry, I don't quite understand your question, ma'am.
Senator, would you please repeat the question?
Sure, just I guess for clarity's sake. So there is something called crimes against the community. And so does this bill, is it duplicating that particular crime?
I don't believe it does.
Okay, all right, thank you for that response.
All right, on the bill, is there any other senator who would like to speak on the bill? If not, then the sponsor may close on the bill. Senator Parkinson, you are recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First off, I'd like to motion to introduce an amendment sponsored by Senator Joe San Augustine, Tina Muñoz-Barnes, Chris Barnett, Roy A.B. Kanata, and myself, William Parkinson, to amend Section 1 of the bill to read 3491, Destruction of Public Property During Public Emergencies Penalty. A person commits a third-degree felony if he, without the written permission of the owner or the owner's agent or the person in lawful possession, intentionally tears down, damages, mutilates, or destroys any property or equipment owned by the government of Guam during times of public emergency and up to 90 days after a public emergency.
All right, colleagues, there are several amendments in that amendment. They are adding the words third degree to felony, adding the word, replacing the word maliciously with intentionally, adding or equipment, and combining B into A. The 90 days will now be part of A. Take that back. 90 days is already part of A. It's hard to see the double underlines here. So there's only 3 things being done here. 4 things. Adding the words third degree, replacing the word maliciously with the word intentionally, adding the words or equipment, and adding government of Guam instead of Guam Power Authority, Guam Water Works, Department of Public Works. All right, on that amendment, is there any objection or would like to speak on the amendment? Anyone would like to speak on the amendment? If not, is there any objection to the amendment? Seeing no objection, amendment passes. Senator Parkinson.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I understand that my colleagues have issue with how this bill was placed on the agenda, but the facts are simple. Bill 132 was born of real incidents, real concerns, and real harm that was done to our community. As we reflect on the recent public emergency that has undoubtedly tested our resilience and our unity, it is imperative that we address a concerning issue that has arisen in its aftermath: vandalism, theft, and destruction of public property. These acts were willful and malicious and threatened the sense of security and recovery we have as an island. In the wake of a public emergency, when we should be banding together to rebuild and recover, it is deeply disheartening to witness some individuals choose to engage in acts of destruction. Designation as a felony sends a powerful message to potential wrongdoers. It demonstrates that we take this issue seriously and are committed to preserving the integrity of our island. By elevating the penalties for such offenses, we deter those who might otherwise consider committing acts, thus reducing these incidents and their negative impact on our community. Beyond the punitive aspect, we must also focus on fostering a culture of responsibility and respect for our surroundings. By criminalizing post-emergency vandalism, we highlight the importance of maintaining our critical public infrastructure in a time of great need. Some have argued that this bill needs a findings and intent to make clear purpose of this legislation. There cannot be a more clear intent than we wish to punish those who hinder our recovery from an emergency through acts of willful destruction and theft. While some may choose to willfully be blind to the clear intent of this bill, I remain resolved to be the toughest senator on crime. Others have said this bill would nullify existing laws on crimes against the community. The Attorney General's office supported this legislation, and I doubt that the toughest AG on crime would support a law which would nullify the crimes against the community section of the Guam Code. This bill adds a sentencing enhancement and is another tool for the Attorney General to seek justice for our community. This would be in addition to a crime against the community and not a replacement for it. For those who may be deficient in arithmetic, 1 + 1 is 2 and not 0. Others have said that the designation as a felony is not specific enough. The Guam Code is clear. Any crime declared to be a felony without specification of a degree is of the 3rd degree. An attorney should know that and should not feign ignorance for political attack points. Others have said that the ability for the legislature to end the enhanced penalty period is confusing and unnecessary. I find it ironic that some of the same people who would argue for the ability to end a public emergency would find such trouble with a provision that gives the legislature the same power in this newly proposed facet of public health emergency enforcement. Perhaps it's because of whose name appears as prime sponsor. Members of this hall may not have me as their favorite senator, but this bill has no other purpose than to foster a stronger, more resilient Guam that stands united against acts of vandalism and destruction and ensures that those who attempt to disrupt the harmony of our community are held accountable for their actions. By making vandalism a felony after a public emergency, we send a clear message that such behavior will not be tolerated and that our island's resiliency and unity will prevail. In conclusion, I urge all of us to support this important legislative measure, to vote not out of spite for personalities, but for the good of Guam. Together, we can build a stronger foundation for our island's progress, one that upholds the value of respect, responsibility, and resilience. And with that, Madam Chair, I make a motion to move this Bill 132-37 COR as amended on the floor to the 3rd reading file.
On the motion to move it to the 3rd reading, there's been an objection. All in favor of moving Bill 132-37 COR as amended by the committee and further amended on the floor to the 3rd reading file, please raise your hand. Motion fails.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Senator. We're now continuing under Senator Barnett, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I motion to recess till 3 p.m. tomorrow.
On the motion to recess until 3 p.m. tomorrow, is there any objection?
Madam Speaker, point of inquiry. Just a point of inquiry with regards to our recess. I thought we had 2 more bills on the agenda, Madam Speaker, if we can dispose of those and then come back in.
There's a motion to recess. Is there any objection? No objection. Seeing no objection, motion carries. We'll recess until 3 p.m. tomorrow.